With the exception of Polytechnique, Incendies is the only Denis Villenueve film that I hadn't seen before deciding to review his filmography. Having now seen and reviewed Polytechnique, I can say that Incendies is the most different of the films Villeneuve has made. Incendies is much less tense than the other films, and it's also much more personal, which shows in not only the story of the film, but in Villeneuve's direction of it. The more personal story required a much more personal style than I would normally expect from this director, and I think he pretty much nailed it. The plot of Incendies follows two twins in a journey through the Middle East to discover more about their family history following the death of their mother. It is the structuring of this story that bothers me the most about an otherwise brilliant film. The crafting of relationships and characters is all very well done in this film, but its structure left me a bit underwhelmed for the first half hour to 40 minutes. Perhaps it's because I was expecting something different from Denis Villenueve, but I think it has more to do with what the film does to tell its story. The film splits its runtime pretty much halfway between the twins and their investigation and their mother's life before moving to Canada. Towards the end of the film, these two timelines intertwine much more and it becomes much more engaging, but towards the beginning of Incendies, I find that it seems to place too much focus on the life of the mother. After the opening scenes of the film, I immediately found myself more compelled by the twins' timeline, and while the mother's timeline eventually earned that same engagement and investment, a little more context from the twins' perspective might have boosted this and prevented any slow moments in the film. Like I said, the characters and their relationships are very well crafted, especially the twins Simone and Jean Marouin. The acting from the sister was particularly strong, and the film does an excellent job of revealing details about past events between two people without explicitly showing them. Whether it be through passing mentions of how absent the twins' mother was, or by discussing details about what people know about the woman that sings, Incendies crafts its characters through this and their beliefs and values incredibly well. And the beliefs and values of the Marouin family play heavily into the investigation that Simone and Jean do in the Middle East. The backstory of the mother does a great job of creating a character arc for her as well. This is one of the few things that the structure of this story aids. By opening with the end of the mother's character arc and telling them the story after this, it seems to add a little extra heart to it in my opinion. It shows the audience why she is the way she is, and I think that the way they do it is very impactful. Denis Villenueve is someone that I typically relate nail-biting tension to. He is a master of that aspect of filmmaking, and to see him transfer over into something much less intense and much more emotional was a very interesting experience. Not only does he craft the film incredibly well, but he adapts his style so that it suits what the film needs. The film focuses on people, and I think Villeneuve's direction of it does as well. The editing focuses heavily on people's reactions during conversation. It's part of what makes the film so interesting despite a very small variety of things happening. A large majority of Incendies is conversations, and I think the fact that the editing directs attention to the character reactions makes the conversations a lot more gripping than they would otherwise be. It's one thing to watch a character tell you something, but it's another to watch someone else react to it. It helps you relate to them and makes their reaction the most important part of a scene. It also helps that the frames in these scenes are interesting to look at. The combination of this and the editing makes the handling of some of the film's more tragic moments really well done. The impact of any given event is portrayed without shoving it in the audience's face. In fact, a majority of the time, it's shown from far away or not shown at all, and the way it's shot is adapted for the different scenarios that are shown. I also want to mention that the use of landscape shots is really cool, and I think they're some of the more beautiful and impactful frames throughout the film. The thing I find odd about this film's style is its use of music, or lack thereof. It works really well with the film to have a lack of score, much like No Country for Old Men, but I kind of wish they had stuck with no score instead of sporadically using similar downbeat violins throughout. The song that played at the beginning of the film, You and What Army by Radiohead, I think, set the tone for the entire film, and its repeated uses throughout were enough music for the whole thing. I also think that it was a great song to use for Incendies, not only for its style, but for its title and lyrics. Incendies is a great flick and it's definitely worth the patience, but it is a slow film and that might turn some people off from enjoying it.
Incendies. 9 out of 10.